I chose Lewis and Clark because I had a really good friend who graduated here, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I came to school. So liberal arts was appealing because there were so many options available to me, and thankfully I know what I want to do now, and I've ended up in a really good place. But it was really that friend who graduated here who also touted the abroad programs really convinced me in the end. And so I came from Missoula, Montana. I went to a high school there, and I was mostly a rock climber for most of it. And when I came to Lewis and Clark, I liked rock climbing and dirt bagging, but I decided that I wanted a more community in some aspects of my life, and so my mom rowed for UW when she was in college, and I decided to try out the rowing team, and that became the community I had here, and really the sport I love now. So both my mom and one of my uncles and one of my aunts rowed when they were in college, and I talked to them a lot just about rowing in general. I haven't been able to row with any of them, but I mean, well, my mom lives in Montana, and there's no water in Montana to row on, so we mostly just talk about it, and she'll come out and see the races. Main differences I think between rock climbing and rowing are that rowing is a sport about going as fast as you can. That's kind of the end goal. And with rock climbing, it's climbing the most these kind of arbitrarily difficult routes. And I think that the path I take to get better at each of those sports was very different. And so I think for things like rock climbing, I was trying harder and harder grades and falling a lot. And for crew, there's not as much of that failure. It's just like you go out and you have hard rows, and that's the kind of the failures that you experienced that get you better in the end. And then the other main difference is that rock climbing is more solo, I think, and crews with, you've got 8 other people in the boat with you, and so you got to row with them, and that's the big difference. My hardest climb indoor was 12D on, which is indoor, not outdoor. I know it's not the same. And then my hardest outdoor route was something up in Rattler in Montana. I think it was like 11B. I think they're based off Yosemite grades, so it's it's meant to talk about the difficulty of terrain you'd be hiking over. So like 1 through 4, 1 is like flat ground, 4 is mountaineering, and then 5 is when you get to like up and down faces, and it goes 5-point numbers, and the numbers 1 through 7 also don't really count as like climbing for most of the time. So once you get to 5-8 and up, there's difficulty from 5-8 to 5-15, and then each of those sub numbers are divided into A, B, C, D. So like a 5-10A would be easier than a 5-11C, and then a 5-11D would be harder than a 5-11C. Yeah, so for the Yosemite grading, it's all top rope and lead climbing. So I have a belayer who's got a rope attached to me. So if I fall, I'm fine to get caught. The style of rock climbing that I was doing was mostly top rope and lead climbing. And so I wasn't doing trad climbing, which is the sort of stuff you would do when you're climbing like the really big faces. I don't know if there's any hardware installed on like the 1,000-foot climbs. So you may need to bring all of it with you. And so top rope and lead climbing outside can get up to like 150 feet, but pretty much it was like 70 feet up is how far you would go. I think that the training for rowing is much more structured than my training for rock climbing. I think my training for rock climbing was just based on trying the next hardest thing over and over again. And for rowing, it's about building up the aerobic capacity so that you can go faster for longer. And the coaches handle most of that, which is nice. And over time, I can kind of see myself getting faster and being able to, row harder for longer. But most of that's out of my hands. I just go to practice every day, and we build it from there. But both my parents are scientists, and they wanted me to get involved in science and kind of raised me that way. And I'm really appreciative of that fact. I think I enjoy being good at math and those other sciences in general. And so when I came here, I decided I would just try a bunch of things. My parents are biologists. I took a biology class and I hated it. And so I was like, I need to do something else. And the chemistry program here I had ended up in, and I thought it was really great. I thought it was a good way to combine math and the natural world, and so it explained a lot of the questions I had to myself about why certain things work. And so I ended up, now I'm majoring in chemistry and minoring in math. And so even though maybe I had not envisioned myself taking that path, it's where I ended up, and I'm happy I'm here now. For the most part, I don't know. I don't think I want to get a PhD. I'll probably, after this, go work for some larger chemical companies and see what kind of projects I can get involved with. There's a possibility I could go do chemical engineering, although I would need to do an entire engineering undergrad as well to do that, which is possible, but not easy. And so that's kind of what I'm looking towards right now, looking for research opportunities and things like that, just to get more involved with the science.